Hi, my name's John Drain, and this story about encountering angels is in two scenes. The first scene starts in a grand baronial hotel where I was the chaplain to a weekend conference of healthcare workers. They covered a vast variety of healthcare workers, from nurses to senior consultants and medical professors and so on, and my job was just to be there and to offer them friendly conversation, pastoral support, and at the very end of the weekend to lead them in a time of reflection and corporate worship. So as I reflected on the fact that they were all from very different places in spiritual terms, some of them were deeply religious, some of them were Christians, some of them were not, that it would be a good idea to provide a whole variety of experiences that they might use to reflect on where they'd come from and where they were going to. So towards the end of our time, the weekend, I set up a variety of what I call prayer stations, spaces with items or statements or a short movie running where the invitation is to reflect on some particular aspect of life or faith or purpose and identity. There must have been about 300 or 400 people at this event, and as they were all moving around in different places, engaging in different spiritual disciplines and exercises, we were in quite a unique room. It was one of these grand hotels built, I guess, in the 19th century, with a ballroom with a big pipe organ at one end of it. And suddenly, as we're all moving around and making a reasonable amount of noise in our movement, as we're moving around, one of the participants suddenly called out in a loud voice, "This place is full of angels." And he then went along all the pipes on the pipe organ, you know, the kind of thing you'd see them in a cathedral or a church, going up in a kind of gradient and then down the other side in a pyramid shape, and he went along every single pipe and described a different angel sitting on the top of them. If it hadn't been that these were a bunch of healthcare workers and that this individual turned out to be a medical consultant, I might have thought this was a scene from some made-up imaginary movie, but it was happening before my very eyes. Now, what I was doing, or what I was delegated to do while all this was taking place, I was standing separately in a corner, offering to pray with, to bless anyone who wanted a one-on-one conversation. So at the end of going around all these pipes and talking about different angels seated on the top of them, the person who'd called out, "This place is full of angels," turned and pointed to me, and he said, "And you," he said, "you have standing right next to you an angel that's 10 feet tall, wearing a bright yellow bulletproof vest." And, well, to say I was taken aback was the obvious thing to say. Anyway, I put that in my memory bank. And then a few years later, quite a few years later actually, relatively recently, I found myself in the city of Glasgow, where I live, and I was preparing to take a group of students around the city streets on a walk to explore the culture of the city in relation to its spirituality. And I'd identified a particular New Age emporium that I wanted to take them into. So as I was doing a dry run of this walk one Saturday afternoon, the New Age shop was obviously a place I was going to go, because obviously showing up with a bunch of students without prior warning isn't always going to be a good idea for shopkeepers. And so I went in, had a lovely conversation with the young woman who was running the shop, who turned out to be a pagan, and we had a long conversation about things like standing stones and the different seasons of the year and various other things. And then as I went to browse around the contents of the shop, she said to me, "By the way," she said, "do you realize that someone else came in here with you?" She said, "Standing right next to you." Guess it? You know what's coming, don't you? "Standing right next to you," she said, is an angel who I would say is 10 feet tall, but is wearing a bright yellow bulletproof vest. So, from a Christian who was part of a conference to someone running a New Age emporium who's a pagan, they both saw the same angel standing alongside me. Now, I have to admit, I've never seen this angel myself. I've often benefited from having a 10-foot tall person, angel, angelic presence, definitely wearing a bulletproof vest alongside me, as you can imagine. But what does that mean? Because when you think about it, it's completely illogical. Bulletproof vests are not bright yellow, they're the opposite. That's the point of a bulletproof vest. But I wonder if that's about the guardianship of God around us, the guardian angel taking the bullet for us, there to protect us, look after us. I don't know, but it's certainly a story worth thinking about, and I've been thinking about it for quite a long time, and I almost don't know what my questions are, let alone what the answers might be, but it's still a story worth sharing with you. So enjoy reflecting on whatever it might mean.